Okay guys, welcome to the first BCD Club event. Thank you all for coming. We're not many today, but this number will increase in the future, we hope. So I will tell you a couple of words about BCD Club. We are here to actually deliver you presentations about how in different countries people do business, treat each other in business relations and in normal life. So that if you meet these people of these nationalities in negotiations, or if you are willing to start a business in a foreign country, you know how to do it in the way which will be the most efficient and the way which will benefit you a lot. Today we will be talking about Indonesia. It's a very interesting country and you will soon learn why. And we have two wonderful speakers today. So Vijayanto is a very experienced person in the telecommunications industry in Indonesia. He works for the biggest Indonesian telecommunications company, and he's the head of business development division, which is very, very cool. So it means that he keeps in touch with government, with high business officials, and he knows a lot about this formal business structure in the country. We have the second speaker, who is Radian. He's the owner of the chain of supermarkets in Indonesia, and he is in this family business since 2009, and the family business was established in 1985. And he has proved himself to be a very successful manager because the profits of the company has been rising 200% each year throughout these years, like 2009 and forward. So he's a very experienced person in running family business, and this is another side of Indonesian business culture, which we will cover. Okay, guys, welcome.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, we would like to say thank you to you all. That we are very proud standing here to present about Indonesia. Especially about the business cultures in our country. So.
Yeah, it is Indonesia. So anyone knows Indonesia before?
Yes.
Who knows about Indonesia?
Bali. Oh, of course, yeah.
And what do you know about Indonesia?
Bintang is from Indonesia. You know, he's my close friend. And what do you know before about Indonesia?
Friendly people,
anything,
rich culture,
yeah, great.
Culture,
many religions,
great.
Hot weather.
Hot weather, yeah,
Okay.
that's true. And then Bali, you know Bali?
Yeah, been there.
Tourism.
You know, most people when the first time I went to US, what they know is they know only about Bali, but they are curious. Indonesia, what? Indonesia, where? But they know about Bali more.
Which part of Bali is it?
Yeah, so they say Bali is a country. Indonesia. So they are really curious to know about it. By this evening, we are going to deliver a deep how Indonesia looks like, how Indonesia in detail.
Sure. And let's see.
Here's the video.
4 minutes
You'll
video
see.
about Indonesia.
The Republic of Indonesia, Southeast Asia's largest economy and the world's largest archipelago, comprised of about 17,000 islands spanning over 5,000 kilometers along the equator between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Indonesia has been a hub of international trade since at least the 7th century, attracting traders and foreign powers with its abundant natural resources. Home to 243 million people speaking 583 languages and dialects, Indonesia is the world's 4th most populous country behind China, India, and the United States. It is the 3rd largest democracy and is home to the world's largest Muslim population. Once an underdeveloped agrarian economy and then one of the countries worst hit by the 1997 Asian financial crisis, Indonesia has recovered to become the world's 15th largest economy. Having weathered the recent global financial crisis better than its fellow G20 countries, Indonesia's economy has been growing at about 6% per annum in recent years, thanks in large part to a combination of domestic consumption, an emerging middle class and productivity improvements, the latter of which has accounted for more than 60% of the country's economic growth. Fueled by its young population, the strong consumption habits of its expanding consumer class, its rapid rate of urbanization, and its natural resource wealth, That boom is expected to continue, allowing Indonesia to pass countries including Germany and the United Kingdom to become the world's 7th largest economy by 2030. By then, its consumer class of 45 million will have added an extra 90 million people, creating a customer base larger than any other except China and India's, while its demographic ensure that 70% of country's population will remain of working age in the next 18 years. By 2050, Indonesia is tipped to be the world's 4th largest economy, behind only India, China, and the US, with a GDP of $14 trillion by purchasing power parity. Its rate of growth throughout that period will be the 8th highest in the world, making Indonesia one of the planet's key growth generators. Today, the Indonesian economy boasts 55 million skilled workers, with the 53% of the population based in cities accounting for 74% of the country's GDP. The Javanese cities of Jakarta, the capital, and Surabaya, the second largest city, stand as the country's economic powerhouses. But with urbanization increasing at a rate of 1.7% each year, other cities such as Medan and Pekanbaru in Sumatra, Bandung on Java, Pontianak and Balikpapan in Borneo, and Makassar in Sulawesi are becoming increasingly important players. More than 80% of the country's GDP will come from urban areas by 2030. Already, property prices in the tourist mecca of Bali and Jakarta are undergoing some of the highest rates of growth internationally, ranked 4th and 5th on a list of the world's hottest property markets. Average prices rose about 15% on the previous year, placing them ahead of cities such as London, Moscow, and Beijing. The world's largest palm oil producer and tin exporter, Indonesia also produces gas, plywood, textiles, and rubber, exporting to key markets of Japan, Europe, the United States, Singapore, and China. Indonesia is on its way to becoming one of the world's most important economies. Invest today for a stake in its success. TMF Group, jangkauan global dengan pengetahuan lokal. Global reach, local knowledge.
How's it?
It's good. It's really good.
Impressive. So maybe most of you, it is the first time to acquire that information. You know, it is said that the 4th populous in the world, and also we have a lot of
the 15th largest economies in the world.
And by 2035, right?
Yeah,
we are gonna be the fourth largest economy.
2050. Yeah.
2050.
50,
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the fact that we can find out from the video. So the population is more than 250 million people. The capital is Jakarta, and the big cities are Surabaya. You know Surabaya? Indians, richest people, Laxmi Mittal start his business in Surabaya. His still business in Surabaya. So Jakarta, Surabaya, Bandung, Medan, and Makassar is the 5 big cities in Indonesia. The area is almost 2 million kilometers square land and 5 million kilometers water. The language is Indonesia, and you know that from the video that there are almost 600 languages and dialect that we have. So because Indonesia has so many ethnic.
So you know, if I have my own language, that is not Indonesia. Okay, Bintang, he has his own language, Java. If he communicate Java language to me, I'll not understand at all. So that's why, in order to communicate, we use Indonesia is our national language.
That's right. And the currency rupiah. And this the slogan of our nation. We call it Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. It's from Sanskrit, meaning that unity in diversity. Because of many ethnics, many languages, many diverse areas, so unity in diversity gather us together. Indonesia is a hugely diverse nation. We have more than 17,000 islands. You can imagine that.
Bali is one of
more than
them only.
17,000 islands, and only big 5 islands that well known: Java, Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and Papua. also called New Guinea. So we have more than 300 ethnic groups, over 583 languages, comprise 32 provinces. It's just like a state in the US. So we have 32 state, we call it province. Most people will define themselves locally. So let's say I'm from Jakarta, saya orang Jakarta. And Radian from
Ambo orang Awak.
Padang.
It is totally different.
So orang Jakarta, orang
So local.
Surabaya, orang Bandung, orang Padang.
So they do not mingle together. They because we have our own culture. He has his own culture. So
it's local pride.
Local pride.
Local pride. Something like that. Okay. Radian will talk.
Okay. The purpose of this presentation is business perspective, right? So by knowing how they act, how Indonesian act, how Indonesian behave, how Indonesian talk, how Indonesian sit, how Indonesian eat, how Indonesian see, how Indonesian everything. So I'll bring it into the perspective of business in Indonesia for foreigner to come to Indonesia. So why Indonesia? You already know the answer in the video, right? So why is it so encouraging to do business in Indonesia? Because by the World Bank estimation, Indonesia will be huge economical country. So what is happening there? So I'll cover in here for a few slides. So based on the research conducted by Christine Ligard as IMF managing director, she said a country who is good enough to invest based on these 3 points: based on the acceleration, based on the stability, based on solidarity. So based on this, she said you can make assumption, you can make conclusion, you invest or not. And she refers Indonesia as one of the country that can fulfill these 3 points. That's why one of the professor in Northeastern, in his research, he said Indonesia is the paradise of business. You can gain a lot of money there because we have a lot of population. We have 250 million, so the purchasing power is really big. So that's why we call it paradise. You can gain a lot of money easily.
Now I will talk about upstate dimension of Indonesian to get to know the characteristic of Indonesian people, mostly in general. So from the PDI, Power Design Indicator, we have 78. It's quite high score, so this is the characteristic of Indonesian. So we are dependent on hierarchy, unequal right between the power holders and non-power holders. So because of previously we are feudalistic society, so the people divided into several level. So it's influenced our cultures a lot. So unequal rights between power holders and non-power holders. Superiors inaccessible. Leaders are directive, management control, and delegates. Power centralized. Communication is indirect and negative feedback hidden. Coworker expect to be clearly directed by boss or manager. So it's important when you are doing business in Indonesia, when you come and negotiate with Indonesian, be careful, or you have to really sure that the party that you are talking with. I mean, you have to make sure that he is the right person in decision making. So, but it doesn't mean that you only only approach these people, but you have to. My suggestion, my tips is you have to divide your team into several teams. Let's say the working level. So you have to approach some part of your team must approach the working level and decision level. So maybe yourself can approach the decision making level to as your strategy. Individualism. So we have low score in individualism. So it means that we are a collective society. So in some areas this might be different. I mean, for big cities, individual achievement and but in general we are a collective society. So if you come to rural area or suburb area, so we are very family based. The relationship is very strong. Child-parent commitments and family loyalty. Masculinity. So we have low masculine index. So the status is more about harmony. Individual achievement is not so, but it depends on the area.
The city.
Yeah, the city itself. Gengsi. That's one thing that you need to know. Gengsi. Indonesia is love to show off. For we call it gengsi. It's a personal pride.
Like if I buy the brand of Zara, okay, gengsi to buy another brand. It is too not really good brand. That's why we call it gengsi. Gengsi means a kind of pride. So that's why Indonesia sometimes, right?
Yeah. You have to show that you have something. You have power. You have wealth.
Educational background.
It's something to show.
That's why the biggest Louis Vuitton store is in Jakarta, not in Singapore.
Yeah, that's
Louis Vuitton in Plaza Indonesia.
Yeah, you know it better. Wow.
So people
I did
buy
4 years in
expensive
Indonesia.
brands to shop.
To show off.
If we go to Indonesia, if we go especially to Jakarta, Asray, you know, wow, a lot of premium stores, a lot of much compared in Boston. Wow, amazing, and the purchasing power is really high, and the brand price is not as expensive as here. It is really cheap. Like I buy Zara brand, the cloth is 60 in here. In Indonesia, you will get only around maybe 20.
So for some important event or some important meetings, they will show off what they have. So but maybe that's the character of Indonesia. And if you are doing business in Indonesia, don't humiliate
with the brand.
and you can start making a conversation through the
By complimenting, right?
Yeah, you see what the people's wear. It's gengsi is very important for Indonesia. If you humiliate the people or you show off in front of them, which is that's the decision making person, you're off.
So he should be better than me, right?
True.
Like
Don't act. Don't show you are more, have more than him or her.
just like Ray, he owns Mercedes Benz, you know. So but he's really humble person.
But we talk about in general, not person to person. In general, when you're doing business in Indonesia, you have to aware that the person, let's say, want to show something, and you have, let's say, appreciate or don't make you are higher than the worker. Uncertainty avoidance index, so very low. So we love certainty. We don't love uncertainty. So conflict is something that need to be avoided. And we love harmony. And for us, business is relationship, long-term relationship, not transactional. So let's say you start doing business in Indonesia. Maybe it's kind of different with uncertainty, but it's related about the real experience. So business is relationship, not transactional. Especially when you are engage the government side. So sometimes not just like transactional. Let's say you get this and they get this, but sometimes you can lose, but you win at the end. As long as you maintain a good relationship with them.
For sure, that's for sure.
Yeah. The principle is, you help me right now, I'll help you later. But I don't want to lose gengsi. Let's say my boss, ask me something important to be done, and I need your help. I will come to you. Maybe you lose. In this case, you lose some amount of dollar. Let's say because you help me, but later I will help you, and you can gain. Just it's not a transactional. Let's say this amount of dollar you get and you have to spend this, and P&L, profit and loss, something like that. Sometimes you need to build relationship and strong relationship with government or in private sectors.
Yeah.
Relationship is very important for us. And long-term orientation. In general, we are a religious society, so when you're talking with someone, you have to be very aware of this, because we are the biggest Muslim countries in the world. So sometimes people don't hang out in, let's say, club or bar. Yeah, but maybe some of them also.
It depends. Yeah.
It depends. But in general, we are religious.
But
so
if you go to Bali, it is different case. Come on.
yeah, it's different area, different person.
Bali, Jakarta is different.
So you have to know whether this kind of person is family oriented or
Fun oriented.
fun oriented. Okay, relationship in harmony. Ordering relationship by status. So you have to maintain, as I said that you have to divide your team. If you have a business or a company in Indonesia, you have to define your team into at least two group. First is to approach the decision making, and the other one to approach the working level. But these both group should be maintained in positive manners. You have to build strong relationship with two group, the decision making group and the working level. Having sense of same because of gengsi. Okay.
Okay.
You change.
So, like, for example, I'll take this simple example. When you approach one girl, of course you will observe how she behave, how she talk, how she see, and you will act the same as her. So we call it people intimacy. So that's why in business, in doing business in anywhere, including in Indonesia, we have to think as how Indonesia think. In order to go inside smoothly, we have to act how Indonesian act. We have to approach them how they approach. You cannot just show expressive approach. It's kind of threat for them. So we have to sit how they sit. Indonesia you cannot just sit like maybe just kind of Western style cannot. So we have to eat how they eat. So it is what we are going to deliver in real experience in this evening. So that's why it is some culture we need to aware and to be avoided. Okay, for no, the first point, in any business, when you come to negotiate, no confrontation, right? What I mean by no confrontation is the talk, the body language, the behavior must be the same as our partner, as Indonesian. So in Indonesia, we talk not like how Western talk. In here, we talk, directly. If you don't like, you will say it, right?
True.
If you say it, you will say maybe so expressive, like with the body language like that. Come on, it is not like that. So in Indonesia, you cannot behave like that. In Indonesia, we talk ambiguously. We have 20 different ways to say yes. So to say yes, you have 20 different ways. Maybe like this, maybe like this, maybe like this. So maybe by sign language, it is one of them. Maybe by, there are a lot of 20 ways to say yes. And also, we talk indirectly. When you agree with someone, you cannot say, "Oh, I agree with you." No, you say maybe just like not like this way, like that. So if you meet any Indonesian, they behave, they talk like that. Yeah, it is Indonesian culture. It is normal for us to talk in direct way. But when we come here, we get shocked. What? Because in here we talk so expressive. We talk with direct manner. So it is good thing and also bad thing in Indonesia. And also about the body language, overreacting. Sometimes when we talk, we do like that, we do like that, we do like that. So Indonesia do not use this kind of body language. We use like how? Just like so polite manner. I don't know. We call it polite. Maybe Western will say,
Modest.
what the hell is that? Okay. So it is no confrontation. It is what it means by no confrontation. So in my experience, when I involved in my family business in 2009, I complete my degree in 2009 August. So I joined the family business in September 2009. So I went with my dad to do kind of negotiation. So a lot of behavior like that. When, for example, when they have a purpose, for our company, for 20 minutes, they will not talk about that purpose. They will talk about, the hobby. They will talk about anything, not on the main purpose. After 20 minutes, for 5 minutes, you will say your purpose. So it is just like, slowly, indirect way, you will get a target, you will grab it, and you will eat it. It is how my experience shaped me. So a lot of people will act like that. Even in informal sector will act like that. Same like formal sector.
Yeah.
It is my experience and
Yeah.
my friend.
Yeah, based on my experience, if you are in a meeting and you're meeting with the high position person, don't try to directly make a disagreement with him or her. It will hurt her and will negatively impact to your negotiation. So it's better to say yes, agree with what he or she saying, but later, let's say in the break, you can talk with him or her and discuss more deeply about the topic, so he or she could understand but later he can change his decision. But don't try to directly oppose his or her position. And the second you can start the conversation with the informal things about the things that he or she wearing, or about his or her hobby or family, or about maybe you can show your ability in Indonesian language. So let's say you can greeting, let's say selamat pagi, selamat siang, or you know Bali, you know Surabaya, you know Bandung, and you can share your experience with him or her. We very appreciate that, and it can
Warm up.
Even if you're quite close to him or her, you cannot say directly. You have to say indirectly, even if you're really close.
Yeah. But Indonesian like to share experience. Let's say you have experience, let's say in Bandung, so she or he will talk about Bandung, and you know this place. Have you tried this? And we are very.
All right.
Okay.
So, but the gesture and the greetings. So, because Indonesia is the most populous Muslim country in the world, we are number one in the world for Muslim, for Islam. So, that value embed into Indonesian culture. For example, for you know, when you meet people, you will see maybe a few people will embrace or will kiss. Indonesian do not do that, but in Jakarta it is different case, because Jakarta is affected by globalization. It is normal, right? So it is one of them. If you conduct business in rural area, you have to be aware of that. And also for eye contact, when I talk to Binta, for example, I will look his eyes directly, right? But as Indonesia, you cannot directly like that for such a long time. It is kind of trap for him.
Right.
So you will see like that, and you will get like maybe 3 minutes, 1 minute, like do not see him for such a long time. This kind of trap. And also when you do kind of handshake, you cannot like handshake like that. No, softly. Right. And also the hat should be bold. No, if the hat like that, it is kind of arrogant person, as Indonesian thing. That's why. So in my experience, when I arrange one of the branch in Pekanbaru, you know, a lot of people, when I meet them, they will behave like what I just mentioned. They will not look my eyes directly. Sometimes I get wonder. I talk in a very serious way, but sometimes the eye do not look at me for such a long time, because I am being influenced by globalization. I want people, when I talk, should look at me for such a long time. But the people will look at me for maybe 3 minutes and will get like that for 1 minute. Sometimes I got angry, but when I ask my dad, it is normal for our culture. He said, "Oh, okay." So it is kind of funny when I meet people, because I'm being influenced by globalization. So I also need to know in detail how Indonesian behave, and he said it is normal. So I accept that behavior.
And one thing that maybe I want to say, I learned from organizational behaviors about the culture. So three things that you can do: map, bridge, and integrate. So map, you see what others doing, and bridge, you can mirror and aware of differences, and integrate, you have to try to act just like them, something like that. So it's different from person to person. I mean, just like Radian said, maybe some people needs eye contact for when talking, but some people about a bit see it as a threat, and yeah, it's depend on the persons. Yeah.
That's the favorite part. Next. Oh no. It is already.
Okay.
It is already.
No?
Okay. For yeah. Sometime when we talk, we do like that. Indonesia, when we point to something, we don't do like that. We do sometimes like that. Maybe like this. Like so. If you point out like that, it is not polite. So you have to be. Maybe, which way? Don't do like that. No, this one. And also, when you stop taxi in Indonesia or any kind of public transportation, in here we will use the left hand, right? Maybe taxi. But in Indonesia, you have to point out using the right hand. In Malaysia, we use the left hand in Malaysia to point out the taxi or any kind of public transportation. In Indonesia, no. Malaysia and Indonesia is next to, it is just neighbor, but we have different culture. So you have to use the right hand to point something.
Right hand for us is a good hand, and left hand is a bad hand. It's a perception.
Yeah.
So you have to, as much as use right hand, because it's a good hand, rather than left hand.
And also based on my experience when I went to one of the village to do kind of feasibility study, I talked to public like that. I used my body language like that. The left hand, I raise it, and sometimes the right hand I will just do like that. The left hand is up, and the right hand is down. And the person approached me, and he said, "You're so rude. Why? Because the left hand is up, should be down, and the right hand should be up."
And when you raise your hand, let's say in class, it's very rude for Indonesian.
Totally.
Like if you
This one should be back. Should be kept like
They
that.
cut your hand?
No, of course no. Better when you talk, do like maybe like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Rubber time.
Yeah. This is very typical. Yeah.
Rubber time. You know rubber time?
It's like the time is long?
No, Indonesian people generally is not so punctual.
On time.
If you get appointment at 8, do not come at 8.
You have to.
8:30, it is the real appointment. Or maybe 9. So we call it rubber. You know rubber, right? So flexible.
Flexible, yeah.
Right. So yeah. So if the appointment is made by 10,
Yeah, true.
what time is the real one?
Maybe 30 minutes plus and minus. Plus. Yeah.
It is the
Yeah.
traditional culture.
Especially when you dealing with government, so they are very, very arrogant sometimes. So you have to aware of this. I mean, let's say you have appointment 8, so you have to be prepared yourself. Let's say 8:30 or 9, you have to wait, and
What you cannot do, you cannot keep them waiting, because if you keep them waiting, you lose
Yeah.
chance for the meeting.
I mean, it's depend on which
the boss.
party have more power or in negotiation. but normally
You
Yeah.
can blame it on the traffic jam
yes, that's a common reason.
in Jakarta.
That's why, you know, one of my friend, he involved in mining business. So he wanted to meet the investor at 8 o'clock in Jakarta. You know what time he woke up? 5. What time he went off the home? 6. Because he predict with the traffic jam about, and also
Yeah.
about to be punctual, because he want to get the money from the investor. That's why he need to be punctual. But the investor will come at 1 hour late, maybe 2 hours late.
Just to add to this is why when you're doing business, I lived in Indonesia for about 4 years,
Okay.
Wow, where?
and in Jakarta.
In Jakarta, okay.
And for people to do business, and I was trying to do business over there, and I was successful more or less.
Wow.
Okay, great.
But a lot of the times, the business dealings that you do, I've worked with Telkomsel as well.
Telkomsel, okay.
I've worked with Kartuku as well.
Oh, Kartuku.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the best time for you to strike deals is to connect with the top guy
Yes.
and do business meetings in coffee shops, at the mall after.
Yeah.
At the beginning, in the meeting times, it's presentations
Yeah.
and you talk. But where the negotiations happen, if you try and invite them for dinner or lunch,
Yeah. it's
that's
dep-
where
yeah.
most of the business.
Depend on the people. For me, I don't like dinner or lunch, but I prefer to meet in my office.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe for other person they prefer.
Wow,
So
so
you
yeah.
have
I mean,
to
when I
be
say that,
aware
it's not. I'm not saying it in the sense of, I'm trying to control you.
Yeah.
Usually, it's a courteous dinner.
Yeah.
It is not only one boss
Yes.
maker; it's a group of people.
Yeah.
But you get a chance to be secluded with the decision maker
True.
and talk, and everything you said is
Yes.
true because relationships is what matters.
Relationship is very important. True.
Wow, 4 years, huh?
Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Over time. Ready? Yeah.
You explain.
It's okay.
Okay.
Does
For
your food smell?
No.
you know, in Indonesia we have a lot of foods. We have a lot of delicious food, and rendang is known as the best, the most delicious food by CNN in 2013. So we call it rendang. So CNN conduct study. So they put it Indonesia's rendang is the most delicious food in the world.
Mm.
They said, not I say. So in Indonesia, when you come to a person's home, and the host will say, please eat something, you cannot just directly eat. No, you have to say, come on, no, I'm full.
It's a manner.
It is actually the matter, indirect way. Actually, you wanted to eat, right? And because the host over you, and at that side, you cannot say, okay, I'll eat. No, you have to say, sorry, I'm full. And the host will say, come on, just eat.
Just
okay,
try.
I'll eat.
Mm.
And you will eat it. It is the first manner. And the second manner is when you drink something, a cup of coffee, example, you're forbidden to drink the whole cup of coffee. You have to leave it just a little bit.
Or just try a bit and you put and make a
Yeah.
talk with.
But
with
do not refuse a
Do not
host
refuse.
when they offer you.
Yeah.
Do not refuse anything. You have at least
Try.
at least
a bit.
if you don't like, just bite it a little bit. Just after you bite, just put it. They will be very happy. But if you refuse, they will be very disappointed.
True. That's all from us.
Let's thank guys for an interesting presentation.
Question and answer.
So any questions, Linger? Maybe you're much more curious now.
I'm putting up my right.
All right.
So my question is, should we actually
Do not
expect?
look at me like that.
Okay. So
Just kidding, just kidding.
yeah. Should we expect from Indonesians to say clearly yes or no, or this is actually impossible, and they will say it in an indirect way anyways?
Okay. Informal negotiation. Normally not. You can. But in informal dinner or lunch, you can clarify with the decision-making person and make it contract in
As a foreigner, doing business in Indonesia, when they said it's very true, but with it's in a lot of cultures you should be result oriented. How they act is what you know. Don't get, because they'll never tell you, "Hey, no, this is not true." What they'll say, like, sometimes you find a little friction. You try and answer it politely, and little by little you keep asking this and that and that and that and that and that
and informal.
until you see their activity. If their action is going, you'll get reminders. Hey, so where is this presentation? When they ask you to present, you know, okay, we're moving ahead with this. But if you find him, he's not trying to meet you, you know that the deal might not go ahead.
That's why
as planned.
the function of dinner
It helps.
is very crucial, because when you are in formal meeting and you have kind of disagreement, you cannot say I disagree with it. No, you
or
say
just
in
having a
dinner,
coffee in
yeah,
Starbucks.
in Starbucks coffee. Blah, blah.
Who pays it? Who pays the
You
coffee
pay.
or dinner? You pay.
Of course, we have to pay.
So the interested side pays.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the one
interest
going for
party.
the deal. And there's a lot of people that do a mistake. What they do, they get to know somebody lower in the organization, and he's the guy who gives you the news. Never believe, because the person who's in the bottom is always telling you what you want to hear. And it's the truth. And
Because
it's
they're
not only
polite, right?
it's to be polite, and at the same time to keep using his services, inviting and everything
Yes.
like that. You talk to the boss,
Yes.
and when they said it's a high ranking, the decision maker is the person who's going to tell you
Yeah.
yes or no.
Mm.
And that person, only if you want to push or you want to ask a specific question, what is he doing? Where is he right now? What's going on?
But I think it's better to, as I said, it's better to have two groups, working level and the
And-
decision making.
Yeah.
So you can, maybe you are the boss, so you can approach the decision making person, but you have to assign one people to approach the working level, because if they sometimes they say yes to the boss, but they don't do anything because they don't have strong relationship with you. They will stop the project,
True.
not doing anything. Just the boss, I am doing this. The ball is on your
Court.
side. So you have to build strong relationship with the decision makers and also the working level.
Bye.
What is the
Better.
proportion of women and men in top
Oh.
positions in companies?
Men are more
Dominating.
dominating, but women are getting more because if I'm not mistaken, in our report we have to state that, let's say the gender or something.
But there's
So-
higher women in Indonesia in boards than in Western countries. Women in Indonesia
Yeah.
hold very big
It's
positions.
getting more.
I mean, they had a female prime
see?
minister as well,
Yeah, female president.
president,
Sure,
and,
she did.
and before the West had any. You know, I mean,
You know,
Indonesia is.
Yeah.
And also we have a new regulation in the politics, not in the business. I just want to make sure the man and the female person. So in the politics, there is 30% seats must be
Parliament.
given to the female candidates.
Parliament.
So it is kind of appreciation for women. So it is, equally. We actually do not discriminate female, male. No. We are
In
saying
terms of numbers, men are still outnumbers, but the percentage is getting higher for women sitting in the top position.
and also a number of CEO top company in Indonesia is being held by women. So we have gender equality.
And actually, we don't have any gender issue. I mean, in big cities, women or men, we don't have any issue formally. I mean, in
Gender equality.
yeah,
Okay. I have a question about corruption.
Corruption.
On different levels. Like the lowest level, for example, policemen, and the highest level, some government structures, some kickbacks in companies,
And how to
Understand.
give bribes if
if it is corruption, how is
It's
usually
illegal.
No, our government, our new government start a clean government. So now we have strong body nationally. It's called KPK. It's anti-corruption body.
Eradication Commission.
Yeah, Eradication Commission, and we are struggling to fight against the corruption actually, because especially in government and public.
So the fighting of corruption in Indonesia is
Sectors.
really big issue.
Yeah.
Because if you watch TV in Indonesia, most of the news, will take corruption issue. A lot of governor, a lot of mayor, a lot of regions are being
Members, cabinets.
Why do you think it happens? Like, what is the root of the corruption?
because in Indonesia since its independence in 1945 until 1998, we have really a black government structure behavior inside that. So after 1998, we reformed the law. So we call it, what we call it?
Reformation.
Reformasi.
Yeah, reformation. Reformation. We call it reformation. It is kind of transformational government, blah 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 blah. So the behavior keeps on changing from the old behavior to the new behavior. That's why a lot of governor, a lot of mayor, a lot of businessmen are being kept.
But Valerie, to ask your question, corruption always happens when judicial system is below the power. When the person in power is not responsible to this, there's always corruption, because at the end of the day, that does not, and Indonesia had a very strong leader who led the capitalists, Suharto, and he was above all. And that culture stayed, and most of the general people and the public administration still hold, even though there are a lot of Indonesians that do not accept it. But the reason why they're pushed into this, if they don't do, they will not get the business. Because the people with the money are the people who push things. Even though KPK right now is happening, and people are still fighting. There was a guy who got shot in Jakarta from KPK only 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, and Jalan Sudirman. But to show that people are fighting, as a foreigner, to stay with the business diversity, as a foreigner trying to do business in Indonesia, it's always also good, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, to have a Indonesian business partner. Why? Because they will understand the mood of that person. And even if there was something that's going to be done, what we usually do is listen. We tell them, listen, our proposal is transparent. He buys it from me. Whatever he wants to do with the other people, he does. If he wants to share, do everything. But from my end, it's a transparent proposal. I get my payment for any license or any trade or anything I need to do or any negotiation. This is it. The Indonesian partner will know the best thing to do for you to do business. And like I said, a lot of the times Indonesia is not like Nigeria or African countries, because it's not a bribe, it's more as a commitment for future relationships.
We call it commitment.
Yeah, that's why we always say sunk costs in Indonesia are always huge. But once you pass that sunk cost phase, there's a lot of profit to be made. It's a humongous market. But a lot of people lose patience during the initial part, because they're like, okay, listen, how much am I going to keep paying? How many dinners am I going to keep going to? How many people do I have to be talking to? This gets frustrating and people back out. Now it's changing with their new president, Jokowi. He's been doing a lot of signs that he's planning. Jakarta, people in Indonesia and Jakarta were very spoiled. They had cheap everything. The government paid for everything. Their oil, their food. Now Jokowi is removing all these things and fighting the people he comes from. He used to be a poor kid as well.
Wow.
He's outside that cartel that was ruling Indonesia. So this is a good chance to enter Jakarta and do business in Indonesia. I'm planning. The reason why I came is because even back then I saw, once you get a business deal and you have the right business partner, Indonesia's talking cash. You're going to be banking a lot of money, whether it's through internet, whether it's through payment technology, whether it's through trade, buying from Indonesia, selling to your home country, or doing vice versa. There's a lot to do, especially in Jakarta and Yogyakarta. Bali is for tourism, but the Java Island, there's humongous things. And I keep telling them, we do these things. Indonesia is one. It's the next China.
Yeah.
China, at least the Chinese are really tough to do business with because they know how to do it. Indonesians still need importing. They still need know-how. So this is the chance.